Beautiful friends, time to vibe with the tribe. As we still experience those very intense energies flowing in like one little tidal wave after another. And just over the past week, there's been a huge shift in the energies. Have you not noticed? It has many of us experiencing ascension symptoms, while feeling as if maybe you may feel as if you're on the outside, watching the world on the inside. Kind of strange, right? That's a shift in dimensions, friends. And another much larger shift is heading our way like a huge tsunami wave of energy just within the next few days. So hold on tight, friends. It's about to really take off like never before. And we're going to discuss that today, along with the current energies and incoming energies and how you can take advantage of them and what you should expect. And let us not forget the continued craziness that's happening globally, as we now see the United States sending bombers to Yemen. Remember what the spirits told us a few weeks ago? Well, looks like it's begun. So will Yemen declare war on the U.S., maybe even Iran? Or perhaps maybe they already have, but they just haven't told us so. And who could be coming to assist Yemen in the near future, which could cause even more problems, as if we don't have enough already. And no surprise that we keep seeing more issues, more incidents, more accidents, and even fires around airplanes over the past week. We also saw another recent prediction flying into fruition quite quickly after I said it. I saw an airport, perhaps multiple airports, being shut down due to some type of an event. Well, lo and behold, you probably know by now that London's Heathrow Airport had a major incident, which was a major fire, and the airport was shut down, causing all kinds of problems. This also fulfilled predictions of coming power outages. Remember, I told you lots of power outages were coming. That was part of the reason the airport was shut down. The fire was at a power plant that caused power issues and a shutdown of power, not just for the airport, but for nearby residents as well. Not only that, we had strong winds sweep across this country, United States. I want to know if they've swept across your country. If you're in a different country, let us know in the comments down below. These high winds took out tens of thousands of residents' powers in Wisconsin, Denver, Colorado, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Texas, and once again, as Spirit warned, Cuba. Cuba went off the grid completely, leaving millions of people in the dark about a week and a half ago, about a week or so ago, something like that. And it's just a taste of what's ahead when it comes to power outages, airplanes, shutdowns of airports, and so much more. And this is just only the first Mercury retrograde energy shift cycle of the year. Wait until we get till July, friends. We're also witnessing fires, so many fires, friends, breaking out all over the globe. And here in the United States, and we only just stepped into spring. We're only a few days, not even a week into spring yet. What is summer going to look like? What is summer going to bring when it comes to these fires? I saw fires in my past visions and warned our friends in Florida, where wildfires currently burn. I saw a large fire in Disney World, which also occurred over the past weekend at Epcot Center. And I even warned our friends and my friends in New Jersey, near the New Jersey Pinelands, which also started burning over the weekend, which is now, I believe, contained. Remember the Bulgarian psychic, the blind psychic prophet, Baba Vanga? Remember the video I did not long ago on her where she said when Syria falls, the world will burn? Is this what she meant? Was it about wildfires, or is there much more to her visions? We're going to talk about that today. You also recall my predictions around arrests of leaders, politicians, celebrities, and even step-downs of all of those I just listed. Not quite any celebrities yet, but hold on tight, it's coming. In Istanbul, now if we go across to the Middle East to Istanbul, the mayor and the presidential candidate were both arrested on alleged corruption charges. At the same time, this has brought another prediction into fruition where I had visions of thousands of people taking to the streets in protest. In Istanbul, they said there were actually millions of people taking to the streets in protests. And of course, lots of arrests. Is this the corrupt once again going after the less corrupt to keep control and to stay in power? It sure seems that way. Seems like the people in Turkey also know that that's likely the case. This same exact scenario, friends, is playing out in the Philippines. Same exact scenario. No coincidences there, friends. No coincidence there. Seems like it's spreading like poison ivy, giving everybody the itch to stay in power. So here in the States, more and more protests are forming, including the United States postal workers. That was in my March forecast. Be aware, people are going to rise up in major protests. We see the United States Postal Service now forming into big protests taken to the streets. Yesterday, there were student walkouts that happened in Massachusetts, or was it 2 days? Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. In Massachusetts, and the list goes on. People are literally stepping into their power, friends, just as Spirit said, just as I put out that meditation to help you do the same. They're demanding change. That's what happens when we step into our power. We demand change. They demand justice. And groups are going to pop up, and we're going to see massive protests. We see protests in Greece, massive protests in Greece, Serbia, Hungary, and again, the list goes on. And March definitely fulfilled the prophecy and prediction of people taken to the streets in major protests. Not to mention what's happening with Tesla and a bunch of other stuff that we're going to talk about. And as always, there's so much to discuss, friends. On this episode number 159, a Tuesday's prediction update, including new discovery beneath the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, which also aligns to some of my past predictions and visions, both in which we will discuss. So friends, get that tea kettle ready and say it with me. It's Tittle Tea time, baby. Well, friends, we are just days away from the grand finale of our first eclipse season of 2025. And already, the energies have been quite intense, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on that one. Truly bringing with it this whole other level of awakening for us individually and universally, and for the whole collective. Spirit alerted us to the fact that we would begin getting these blasts of energy, even, accompanied with some light codes, just before the equinox. And lo and behold, on March 19th, the sun unleashed a series of flares that continue to flow from the sun till this current moment. Not only that, the sun is about to expose a huge coronal mass, as the biggest one we've seen in at least 10 years. What is that going to unleash? And I'm sure you've noticed the energies, which do affect each and every one of us in a different way. Everybody, again, we're all unique models of the divine. So therefore, different things affect all of us in different ways, including these ascension codes. And some people aren't even receptive to some of these ascension codes. Some are just directed to certain, DNA. Not sure exactly how it works. I'm sure it's very complex. But there's also these 11 signs of ascension and what's called ascension sickness or ascension sickness symptoms. I actually did a video on that about a year ago, sometime last year, I believe it was. Be sure to check that out, and it may actually help you to put things into better perspective as far as how you may have been feeling lately. May, or it may not, it depends, but if you're receiving them ascension codes, then that video will make complete sense to you. I'll make sure it links up above, and you can always check the description because each video has suggested videos at the bottom of the description. So be sure to please check that out. And one thing that Spirit, is pointing out is that we truly need to tap into our intuition. We always need to tap into our intuition, but especially during these times, because you're going to begin to notice more and more things that no longer serve your highest potential. Whether it be a relationship, a friendship, your career, or even where you happen to reside. You may not be feeling the vibe anymore. You're beginning to notice many more, somewhat disturbing, unfortunately, facts that are happening all around you personally and all around us in the world globally. Truth's being revealed. This affects us too. It affects, especially when people realize they were wrong about things. This is an increase of both our intuition, but it's also an increase in our vision so that we are able to see things more clearly now. Things that we were completely unable to see in the past, of course. And I must be honest here, as I always am, the times that are ahead of us, and very much can and will very much be very challenging times. Not for some of us, but really for all of us. In one form or another, we're all ascending at our own speed and at our own frequencies and dealing with our own things. And we are all about to be faced with making these very difficult decisions over the next year and over the next few years. Do you support your divine path? Do you support what the divine has sent us here to do? Or are you going to support the devil's new laws and legislation going into place to put us into deeper enslavement? I'm sure you're going to choose the divine path. And always do that when making decisions and things. Does this serve my highest potential, and is it divinely aligned? It'll help you move along these paths much easier. And this is a total game changer, friends. This is a game-changing time that we have just stepped into. It's almost a do-or-die situation, making the difficult decisions, making difficult changes. Otherwise, you're going to end up going backwards instead of stepping forward into the new earth and into the new higher dimensions, which unfortunately, a large majority of people aren't going to take those steps. It's part of their soul contract. It's part of their decisions, and we must accept that and make decisions that are for our own personal highest good. Another reminder from Spirit is now that our vision is increasing due to these new levels to pay attention. This is also a time where more and more folks are going to be stepping forward, sharing prophetic dreams that are revealing future. Pay attention to symbols all around you. Symbols, like they say about the deep state, dark cabal. Symbolism will be their downfall. But we get symbolism from the spirits all the time through our dreams and again through our daily lives if we pay attention, especially through nature. Our spirit allies that come to us from the animal, plant, insect kingdom. A very important time that we pay attention to those symbolisms, to those allies that are visiting us, to your dreams, and those dreams revealing prophetic, prophecy of the future for yourself or the world. So many folks are all going to be on the same page with feeling right now that something really big is on our doorsteps. We've all been feeling it for a while, friends. Really long while. Well, now it's really truly on our doorstep. We're actually opening up the door now. It's on our doorstep. We're opening up the door to get that newspaper off the step. That newspaper. Interesting metaphoric way of saying it. Other than that, this is a really important time, friends, for you to get some you time. Not in a selfish way. We all know what selfish people are. But get a little you time. Go get that massage. Go get that pedicure. Go swim in the lake if it makes you happy. Whatever makes you happy. Unplug from others, because we really often need to do that. Unplug from others, especially if you're really even more sensitive. These energies will make you more sensitive. Meaning that, when you're, kind of pissed off and you don't know why, or you're depressed and you don't know why, very often you're picking up on other energies, other people's energies, or energies that are flowing across the planet. You have to learn to protect yourself and, unplug from those energies. Now, when it comes to people, I always say, I am unplugging from your energy. I thank you. And then I walk away. Works for me every time. But when it comes to protecting your energy from everything else that's going on and other people in the earth energies, you have to do meditation, friends. I put out a meditation called Protecting Your Energy. Do that meditation every day till you become a pro at it, where you could just close your eyes and make that happen and keep yourself protected. It does take practice, patience, and time. But the time and the effort that you put into it will pay off. And then you'll be able to flow through your days without feeling other people's energies and emotions. Also, get out and connect with nature. Ground your energy. You're going to need to do that. meditate again, and do your best to stay within your heart space and not giving your heart away to everybody that's ready and willing to put their hand out. Coming up in just a few days, on March 27th, we have a very potent and spiritually charged Venus retrograde moving into Pisces. And it's going to be interesting because at the same time, it conjuncts with Neptune in Pisces. And this is going to bring a strong, very strong potential of deep healing for all of us on different levels, deep world healing, global healing, a reflection, a release. That's what this whole period's about. This retrograde is a very deep dive into our emotional and our spiritual past. And I know, sometimes I say the past can be our biggest sabotage of all. Family can be sometimes the other biggest sabotage if we allow it to happen. But our past is definitely a big sabotage. People repeat patterns over and over again in friendships, relationships, and they don't get it. That our thinking, our words, your thoughts and words are the blueprints to your future. So if you focus on all these negative people that keep coming in your life, you're going to keep attracting those same people. Or anything, habits, it all comes hand in hand. So being that we're going into this deep dive of emotional and spiritual past, you're going to likely experience maybe some old loves coming to the surface, some old friendships coming to the surface, maybe even recognizing old patterns, old addictions. Do not succumb to the temptations, friends. Do not succumb to the temptations when this whole retrograde goes into place on the 27th. Now, when Venus meets Neptune, the veil is very, very thin. So expect to receive intuitive stuff, intuitive downloads, as we call them, intense dreams. Beware of emotional vulnerability. Do not let your emotions make you vulnerable, basically. And this can also be actually a very romantic time if you're already in a relationship, that is. It's a great time to bring a new spark within your current relationship or your marriage. To do something romantic for the wifey or partner or what have you. It's a good time to focus on that. Not necessarily a good time to start new love lives because you'll end up being... there's going to be a block you're not going to necessarily see. You know how people jump right into things. This would be a time where people could jump right into things and not see the illusion. The illusion of what they think is love and not really see through the illusions of what the truth is. Don't jump into things. Take things really slow. This is a great time to ignite your creativity, which I got to look into that. I always wanted to do a pottery class. And I looked before and I don't think I found anybody, but I got to look again. You think they have something like that in Sedona, especially with the red clay that we have? I mean, we can get our own red clay right up here in the mountains. Or the buttes, excuse me. They're not mountains, they're rock buttes. So, again, let your creativity flow, friends. When this all comes, you can start now, of course, but when the 27th comes around, a few more days, it's going to really ignite your creativity. So get out and do things like art, theater, writing. Write a journal, keep a journal, write a dream journal, because you're probably going to be having a lot of wild dreams in the near future. Music. Writing music, all these things and these creativities, this is a great time to tap into it. It's also a great time to tap into your past lives. I had that happen to me last night. And it's not even the 27th yet. I had this flash of a past life, and I'm not even sure what to make of it. I don't know if it was ancient Aztec, ancient Mayan, but I was there, clear as day. It was interesting. It was a very big flash. So you may be getting those same kind of flashes. Or memories of past lives and sudden past life memories. So pay attention to all that. And an affirmation that can actually help you, that you can say throughout the day on the 27th of March, when this alignment and retrograde kicks in fully, say the following. I open my heart to divine truth and let go of all illusions. I trust in the healing power of unconditional love and spiritual grace. Amen. Again, I'll say that a second time. I open my heart to the divine truth and let go of all illusions. I trust in the healing power of unconditional love and spiritual grace. Say that as many times as you possibly can on March 27th. Well, affirmations are powerful. They help you flow through energies. They help you shift through energies. And with this one, it'll help you shift through the illusions as well. The energies will become even more super intense just a few days after Venus retrograde on the 27th, when the 29th rings in. That's when we have the solar eclipse, the very first solar eclipse of 2025 in the sign of Aries, while Mercury retrograde re-enters Pisces on the same day. Friends, that is a sure sign that a new cycle is igniting and new pathways are opening up. New moons always, of course, welcome in the new. It's all about planting your intentions. And on the 29th, actually, especially being it's eclipse, I'll be out planting all my seeds in my greenhouse for the garden. New moons, perfect, especially then. Really, our ancestors planted all their seeds and all their vegetables and fruits during the moon cycles. They planted on the new moon. They harvested on the full moon. That's why we have the harvest moon, who sings the song? Oh, Neil Young sings the song about the harvest moon. That's why we have it. They harvested on the moon, of course, the full moon. This solar eclipse, what a powerful, powerful time. And new moons, again, are all about new beginnings, but this new moon is very, very extra special. With the solar eclipse following the equinox that we just had and the lunar eclipse, this moon is literally bringing in radical new beginnings. It's like radicalism, friends, personally and universally. It's going to be pretty wild. And this powerful alignment is going to step us into this whole new paradigm, a time that is all about stepping deeply into our personal power. Again, there we go. That's another video I did, Stepping Into Your Power. Check it out. It's a great meditation. Stepping into our personal power, our courage, and our independence. We need that. That's what it's all about. Remember, it was astrological alignments that happened at the same time that the Declaration of Independence was signed. And now we have this alignment that's all about your independence. This is also why we already have been witnessing this whole uprise of people taking to the streets in protest. It's not even the 29th yet, and wait until the 29th does come in, when the light really shines deeper on folks, because that's what the 29th is going to do. It's going to shine even deeper. And this carries with it this warrior kind of energy, this warrior type of vibe. So tap into your inner warrior, friends. Tap into it, because we're all about to receive a spark directly from our divine creator, cranking up our inner warrior. Fun times for sure. And during this time, you may also expect to have these sudden revelations when it comes to your personal identity or your life's direction. That's a big one for folks. Where you're going. That's why, again, you may be getting tired, not wanting to do, your relationship, your friendship, or your job, or what have you. That's why. It's re-looking. We're stepping into this new paradigm. We already have 1 foot into that new paradigm. So not only that, this I would tell you to expect not only just sudden revelations when it comes to your personal identity and life direction, you're likely going to have these really bold inner urges to just start all over again, which is okay. Start all over again, move forward, and break free. With Mercury's moving back into Pisces, we get this whole intensified energy when it comes to, again, your dreams, prophetic dreams, spiritual downloads, and just perhaps even flashes. You might even actually have flashes, like I do all the time, of your future or future global events. Not just dreams, but flashes, visions, friends. So pay attention to those visions. And they come as a thought. They come as the easiest way to explain it's like daydreaming. Something we were taught never to do as kids. I used to get yelled at that all the time. Tittle, stop daydreaming. Daydreaming is the trance state of consciousness, the most powerful state of consciousness we can enter into. Of course, they're going to yell at you and tell you not to do that and not teach you how to actually work through that daydream trance state. Interesting enough as it is. So this also is going to heighten emotions. So be aware of that, friends. It's going to heighten emotions, which could also at the same time have a lot of hidden truth surfacing. And when they do, they'll surface in a very emotional or a spiritual type of form. I look forward to the truth, but this is going to bring truths in your own life, truths about yourself, and the list goes on. So try not to rush into any decisions during this time. You're likely could end up looking back at that decision with complete regret. This is a time that's all about renewal. So don't hang on to the past. Like I said, past is biggest sabotage. Don't hang on to the past. Don't resist change. Do not resist change. This can make changes actually easier. Not that it's going to be easy. Don't get me wrong here. Not that these changes are going to be easy, but these cycles actually can help to make it a bit easier. Kind of like using the 9 vibration in numerology to quit a habit or stop a pattern, habit, or an addiction. Same with Mercury retrograde direct. That can also help us get rid of things like habits and such. Paying attention and utilizing these energies to your advantage can help you flow through and, again, make things easier. So if you do it during that time, you want it to be easier or you want it to be super much harder. There's also not only an easier, but you have to be aware still of miscommunications with others. Watch saying things like on impulse because you'll end up regretting it. Just take a few deep breaths, maybe count to 3, 2, 1. Or again, you're going to end up regretting those impulsive words, especially if you're speaking out of emotion instead of, don't speak out of emotion, not during this time, not when this alignment comes in. Slow down. I still expect there to be delays. We're still going to be in that post-shadow retrograde, Mercury retrograde, that is. So just slow down. Expect there to be some delays and a little affirmation that can help you when this solstice comes along. Not solstice, I'm sorry. Solar solstice, no, solar eclipse comes along. You can say this every day. I trust the fire within to guide me forward. I release the past with grace and I welcome divine purpose with courage and clarity. Once again, I trust the fire within to guide me forward. I release the past with grace and welcome the divine purpose with courage and clarity. Say that every day, or not every day, say it many times, on the day, March 29th, when we have that solar eclipse coming in. And you could say days preceding that whole alignment as well. And if you think March is going to just end off with just this powerful movement of Mercury and the solar eclipse, think again, friends. Because on March 30th, the month is going out with a sure bang, because on March 30th, Neptune enters Aries, which truly is going to mark off this birth of a whole new era. Neptune moves into a new sign every 14 years. So when it shifts, it brings in this whole new collective. It brings in this whole new spiritual vibration, especially this round. Neptune in Pisces. Neptune sat in Pisces since 2011, so 14 years ago. And now it's about to enter into Aries, the very first sign of the zodiac. Neptune entering that first sign of the zodiac, Aries, is all about, again, that warrior energy. It's also about pioneers, pioneers, warriors. It brings in this energy of action, identity, and bold, courageous, and sometimes very aggressive energy. So be aware of that. This cycle is where spirituality truly ignites on fire. Maybe that has something to do with all the fires. Probably not. But that's when spirituality lights on fire. Your spirituality. And, shows like this and other spiritual shows are going to just become more and more popular because people are going to be seeking advice, seeking guidance, and seeking direction spiritually. Not religiously, but spiritually. Big difference. So when it all lights on fire with spirituality, even we'll see a whole new dawn of a whole new spiritual identity. That'll be interesting. Because what we're going to see is these new gateways of wisdom and knowledge opening up, including ancient knowledge coming into the light. Remember, Spirit told us that and channeled predictions that we would begin to receive the ancient knowledge and wisdom. Secrets being revealed that assist us in raising our consciousness and even beginning to communicate telepathically. And, eventually, this is probably decades away, but people will be intuitive. You won't need psychics or mediums, because everybody will be in tune with each other and in tune with the earth. the way it really should be. Now, this coming 14-year window is going to be wild, friends. It's going to be a wild ride for humanity, because we must also be aware that this cycle of Neptune is going to bring in a lot of false spiritual leaders. That's the other key, especially if spirituality takes off. It doesn't matter whether you go to a car mechanic, or it doesn't matter where you go. There's always someone that's going to want to try to rip you off or fraud you or try to get you to, take your power from you, basically. Take your power from you. So we need to be very, very aware, Spirit says, of false spiritual leaders, false prophets. These is probably all the prophets that Jesus spoke about in the Bible. And prophets aren't prophets that predict the future. False prophets, according to the Bible, because people misinterpret that all the time. And they say psychics are false prophets. Now, false prophets are those who lead people in the opposite direction of the teachings of Jesus Christ. Has nothing to do with predicting the future. So to make sure you get that straight for those people that don't understand the actual Bible and what they're actually talking about. So spiritual influencers basically coming out and playing God or wanting to be gods, and cults of personality. Like that song in the 80s, Cults of Personality, or was that the 90s? Who sung that song? I forget. Not important. What was his name? It's going to drive me crazy now. So it can also bring about this whole type of savior syndrome, these people want to save everybody instead of saving themselves. It's always one of my favorites too. Where, again, they insist that people with savior syndrome also insist that their truth is the only truth. Your truth is wrong and it's my truth, and that's part of the savior syndrome too. This would also make complete sense of the window of time where the prophesized anti-Jesus, we'll say, rises up with a new religion, which is again spoken about in the book of Revelation. This window of time would make the most sense of that. This 14-year window that begins on March 30th, when we step into that alignment. It's going to be really interesting. And if you remember, I think it was last year, Spirit said that anti-Jesus would be come to the forefront in 2025. Interesting. Maybe on March 30th. Wouldn't that be something? Got to keep our eyes on that one. Beautiful friends, I just want to take a moment to welcome you back to my channel. Welcome you to my channel. If you are new here and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, you want to vibe with the awesome tribe that we have here, be sure to smash that subscribe, the bell, and all so that you get notifications. And sometimes you may not. People didn't get them last week, I think it was. It's Mercury retrograde. That's likely why. And yeah, that's probably why. And if I don't pop up on your feed by Wednesday, go directly to the channel. Because as you know, I'm here every Tuesday as we talk about world events and the energy shifts and what's happening energetically and how it all may relate to predictions in prophecy. Also down below in the description, you'll find all the links to social media, including the newsletter. By the end of this week, I will have out, either by the end of this week or by Monday at the latest, the April forecast and predictions. Keep an eye out for that. Sign up for the free newsletter down below, because if you sign up for the free newsletter, you'll get the forecast for April, all written for you. All the astrology, the numerology, and everything that's going on. And if you think March has been interesting, wait until we get to the month of April. I also want to take a moment to thank all the supporters of this channel who make this free content possible for everybody else. Whether you're a member of the community here or whatever platform you're watching this on, whether you're a member of my Awaken Your Spirit community on Subscribestar, my biggest supporters of all, and the contributors to this channel. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude for your love and support. I couldn't do it without you, and I appreciate you. And I hope that all those that watch this free content also appreciate the supporters of this channel, because otherwise you wouldn't be absorbing this free content. Shall we move on to episode 159 of Teatime, baby? No surprise that we keep seeing more incidents, issues, and accidents around airplanes. Over the past week, we saw another recent prediction flying right into fruition. I think I said it in my last video, actually. I put a video out as soon as I got back from Mexico, where I got this fabulous hat. Top predictions, upcoming events that are coming. I think it might have been in that video, which I recorded back on the 15th. Y'all on YouTube and other platforms didn't see it till later. But I think it was that video where I talked about airports being shut down. And I saw an airport, perhaps multiple airports, being shut down due to some type of separate types of events. Well, as you probably know by now, lo and behold, London's Heathrow Airport had a major incident, which was a major fire at the airport. A major fire at the airport that caused power outages for the airport and nearby residents, shutting it all down. And as you've seen, the major fire at the Heathrow Airport caused this shutdown, along with major, again, power outages all over the place. What a hot mess that was, wasn't it, friends in London? Hot mess that was. So this also fulfilled predictions of coming power outages. Strong winds, not only the power outage at the airport, over here in the United States of America, strong winds took out power for tens of thousands of people, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people. If we added all these places together, Wisconsin, Denver, Colorado, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, and the list just keeps going on and on. Also, Spirit warned Cuba. Remember, we saw Cuba's power outage earlier this year, which was also in predictions, and Spirit said it would happen again. And it did. Millions of people sat in the dark over there in Cuba. And that's going to keep happening in Cuba. So, especially when they get the big hurricane that comes in that really wipes it out for a long period of time, says the spirits. And this is just a small taste of what's ahead when it comes to power outages, airplanes, and even shutdowns of airports. Remember the current astrological alignments, the Aquarius, everything that's going on energetically does highlight aerospace. It highlights aerospace, and that means, we also saw, more SpaceX rockets fail, even explode. Some say that was fake footage. I don't know what you think. I don't think. I just don't care, actually. But more smoke-filled planes, I do care about that. Accidents and incidents just continue to happen. This is actually all these alignments that are happening are all meant to focus and bring a huge focus on aerospace so that we actually shift in technologies in these new Aquarian age vibrations that we are stepping into and now in, actually. Really interesting. And actually we also have the same alignments happening that happened when the Wright brothers took their first flight. So what's that tell you? Big, big changes with the air travel and all of that. Going to outer space. Of course, they say going to Mars. I already know they're there. I told you that many times. When they tell us they're going to do something, it's because they already did it. And 99% of the time. I do see continued issues with airplanes. Unfortunately, helicopters and, of course, Elon's, rocket ships. Even problems arising around NASA. I'm getting a vision right now, Spirit's showing me, of one of those rockets going off and coming down and coming down in a residential type of area. I think that might have to do with the whole launching of Starlink satellites and it really crashing into a neighborhood, causing fire. That just came to me now. And I do see 2 more coming airport closures. One I feel is going to be in the Middle East, likely related to conflict. And we could also expect an airport being closed temporarily after a major earthquake disrupts the area. And I feel that this actually could be Turkey. I think it could be there. Because remember, I made predictions that they're going to get another huge one. To the north, Spirit just said in my ear. I don't know what that means. I'm not on that part of the globe. But to the north. So, friends in the north of Turkey. That's what Spirit just said. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the airport closure, but it would make sense that it could very well be. And now, come July, we're going to see others, friends. So what we don't see when it comes to major earthquakes and even closures of airports and such, we're going to see, following suit in July with other temporary closures. But don't let this deter you from traveling. I'm not letting it deter me from traveling. As a matter of fact, just about to book my trip to Peru. Can't wait. And I'm going to document that trip. I'm going to come back and put that out to you in at least 3, maybe 4 different videos. I'll be gone for a couple of weeks. There will be no Spiritman for 2 whole weeks. What are you going to do without me, friends? And I don't know if I'll try to maybe get something done that I can put out there while I'm away. Maybe I can go live from Peru. Don't know. I'm going to be too busy enjoying myself. This is what I'm going to be doing. Working with Mama Ayahuasca, Shaman Puma. Yeah. Machu Picchu. Fabulous. I can't wait. So much fun. Can't wait. But don't let this deter you from traveling. I'm not letting it deter me from traveling. You still have a better chance of, being injured on the road than you do in an airplane. Aeroplane. I don't even know where that came from. But yeah, don't let it deter you, friends. And a while back, I felt a small jet. I felt that there was a small jet housing a celebrity or a politician that would go down over water or near a coastline. It reminded me of two. It reminded me of JFK Jr. and it reminded me of pop star Aaliyah. But if we look at both of them, both of them are alleged conspiracies that they were both taken out, which is likely, no doubt, the case. So is that what's going to happen? Is there going to be a celebrity or politician's plane that goes down over the water or near a coastline that resembles the same thing? Wonder who that could be. And this came to me this morning, this one, that I also feel some type of plane crash happening in relationship to Australia. Important. I don't know why this plane crash I felt this morning in Australia was important. Maybe because of who's on board. But that came to me this morning. So I'll leave you with that. Remember that song from the 80s? The heat is on. The heat is definitely on, friends. It certainly is. We're now witnessing fires breaking out all over the globe. And here in the United States as well. And we only just stepped into the spring months here in the Northern Hemisphere. While down there in the Southern Hemisphere, what did they just step into? Autumn. They're getting ready to go into winter. That's right. When I go to Peru, it'll be the end of the winter time for them. Which is still beautiful there in the Andes Mountains in that time of year. Because I went before in July and it was gorgeous. Cold at night, of course, freezing. Just like here in the canyon. Cold at night, but beautiful during the day. So we only just stepped into spring and summer, what's that going to bring? The Bulgarian blind prophet, remember her, Baba Vanga? Baba Vanga stated that when Syria falls, the world would burn. I did a video on that Baba Vanga prophecy. I'll try to remember to put that up above and down below in the description, so check that out. But months ago, we saw the fall of the Syrian regime, the Assad regime. Is this what she was talking about? Was it that fall? Because I actually, unfortunately, feel that a bigger disaster is going to hit Syria. And I think that'll be the true fall of Syria, actually. So, not sure. I want to know what you think in the comments below. I had a vision of Syria as a complete wasteland. And I know parts of it is kind of like the Gaza, but not quite a wasteland yet. A wasteland to me would be a place you can't go back to. Likely because it's toxic. As if maybe some type of large explosive levels the entire country of Syria. And now since the fall of the Assad regime, interesting enough, maybe Baba Vanga was on to something because we are seeing more fires developing across the globe in 2025 and we're only at the end of March, friends. And the hot season hasn't even arrived yet. Now, what I actually do feel, though, when it does come to Baba Vanga, that she was seeing more of burning related to conflict. Like conflict, like fires in cities due to, boom booms and what have you. Not just in the Middle East, but throughout Europe. And so much more conflict is yet to arrive. I mean, look at what we have happening. There was supposed to be a ceasefire in Israel, and Israel's still committing their atrocities on others. And, others are committing atrocities. It's just they're all dark. All of them. I don't pick sides. They're all dark. Just make peace. Make love. Make love, not war. Isn't that what they said? Yeah. And then we have, the whole what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. No one knows. And you got both those sides. The whole thing's crazy, friends. We need to give peace a chance. Give peace a chance. I saw visions of fires hitting Florida, where wildfires are currently burning in Florida. I even had a vision of a large fire at Disney World and wildfires near Disney World as well. Thankfully, there's no wildfires near Disney. Yet, over the weekend, a fire did break out at Epcot Center in Disney World, sending black smoke billowing into the skies. Disney's already having enough challenges and losses of money. Folks are boycotting their parks, boycotting their movies, and soon, and definitely boycotting their live streaming because they lost billions in live streaming over the past year, last year alone. So there's a boycott happening. Besides, people don't watch that stuff anymore at all. And, I also get this feeling that not only boycotts, but their CEO is about to be boycotted too. I see the CEO of Disney resigning and a new one being instilled, whatever. I still see a vision of nearby wildfires happening on the edge of Disney properties and a shutdown that happens eventually to the Disney parks, likely due to the wildfire. The dangers of wildfire. Still a lot going on there. I think Disney might be getting a lot of karma back. I'd like them to expose the whole underground city that's beneath Disney. Did you know about that whole underground city? There's literally a city under Disney. And you know how I know this? Because when we were in high school and went to Disney on the high school trip, which they didn't let me go because I was bad. But regardless, one of my friends, somehow, I forget what happened. Did he get lost? Or did he get hurt? I think he might have got hurt. And they took him under the underground city. And he saw the whole, part of the underground city. So they have this whole underground thing going on there. For all kinds of tunnels and all kinds of creepy stuff. I'm sure their friend Diddy probably used those tunnels. So I warned our friends in New Jersey and New Jersey Pinelands, which is also currently burning. I think it's under control now. Maybe, hopefully, it's out. And there's going to be more friends in Jersey, so be prepared. I still see more fires. And I decided to do this little peek of the North American fire map. I wanted one for the world. I couldn't find one for the world, but I found one for pretty much North America, especially United States. And sadly, it appears like so much is on fire, friends. So much. Check this out. Is the Florida wildfire smoke map. But this actually shows the wildfires. And as you see here on the left, wildfires in the red. New wildfires with the red flame yellow background. Prescribed fires, and you see the rest there. This is Florida. Now, down in Florida, we have all the way down here at the edge of Florida, right before we go into the Keys, in the Everglades, there's fires. Prescribed fires. I guess that's when the fire department set the fires. But look at when we zoom out the map of United States. Look at all these fires, friends. I don't know what this area here is all in the pink. I don't know why they have that in there like that. I don't see anything in the map that describes what that area is. When we go over here to our friends in New Jersey, we got fires all over the place. All along here in Jersey. I don't know why Jersey's not filling up on this map. Let's go down here. Look at all these fires. Look at the Carolinas. This is the area of the Carolinas. I would imagine that's all on fire, and that's why it's in pink. When we go over here, look at this area, Oklahoma, friends. Look at that. That is insane amount of fires. Look, it's almost like practically the whole state. New fire there, and new fire down there. A new fire down here, and then all these fires that are continuously burning. These are all red flag warnings. Or no, potential fires. These are all potential fires. Excuse me. Let's go look at my home state now, my current home state, Arizona. And there's a new wildfire there in Arizona. I'm up here, though, a little bit up further. And then look down here in California. I was just there, too. I didn't see any fires down that area. I was just in Winter Haven, California. Close by, right on the border of Mexico, actually. But look at all the fires burning there in the Los Angeles area. And when we zoom out the whole map, friends, wow, look at all the fires. Does it take us up into Canada? Well, it does a little bit. I'll look at over here in Canada. British Columbia, the whole corner of the British Columbia is on fire right there. The rest of it looks pretty dry. But my feelings is Canada is going to get hit really, really hard. Especially while we already see the British of Columbia. But down here, even near Vancouver, just look at those fires, friends. Crazy. The world is burning. No doubt about it, just like Baba Vanga said. Last night I had a vision of fires unlike anything I've ever seen before. It looked literally like an apocalypse. It was just a vision I had. Like, it was really strange. It freaks me out because I do live in a land where that's very plausible could happen. I know I'm safe and protected, but still could happen. And I'm very connected to nature in this area. That would be devastating. But it literally looked to me in my vision like the world was on fire. That's what it looked like, the apocalypse, like the world was on fire. It was a really strange vision. I don't even know how to take that vision. I mean, I took it as a vision warning all of us to be prepared for wildfires to sweep across the lands, no matter where you live, sweeping across towns, cities, and across the globe. That's how I took the vision. You know, it reminded me like if you were standing in the middle of maybe LA when that was on fire. But worse. But even worse, if you can even imagine that. So that's how I took it. That's how I interpret it. To me, I feel like there's going to be no country left untouched by some type of fire disaster or other earth disaster in the next year and over the next few years. But this year especially, remember that 9 vibration that we're bathing in right now? About to drown in really soon. Last year, I saw visions of a city on fire and predicted that we would see another Lahaina fire event. And soon after that, as soon as we stepped into the new year, we saw the Palisades fire, I can talk today, burn a large portion of Los Angeles, California. I see another similar fire, friends, unfortunately. And it feels intentional, just like the last ones. Lahaina, Palisades. I can't say that for some reason. It's just not coming out of my brain today. And, you know, remember my predictions where I said I saw fires in Phoenix, Arizona. Interesting, I drove through Buckeye, Arizona on my way to Mexico. I was driving the bucket down through Buckeye, Arizona. You know, I was taking close notice. And sure, they could have brush fires, but there's really nothing there to burn. You know, for those that don't know, Bill Gates bought up all that land. You know, and that happened after I had visions that there's going to be big fires in Phoenix. And that seems pretty far from, you know, it's a little ways away from Phoenix. Fires I saw in Phoenix looked like Phoenix, kind of like what happened in Palisades, California. Kind of reminded me of that. I also see fires in Ireland. Crazy fires are going to hit Canada once again. And fires are going to spread all over South America, including in the Amazon. You would think, with all this technology they have, I showed you all the patents. We know all about the weather technology and the cloud seeding that they can do to bring rain. You would think they would use that to dampen the dry areas because we know they can do that. We know they can do that. They've even admitted to using cloud seeding. Right before California got all those massive floods, they cloud seeded. Interesting enough. But you would think they would use that to dampen these areas, right? But so that, you know, to make it less likely of a fire. And then even when there is a fire, you think they use that technology to make it rain to help bring these fires under control. Likely because they're not using it. Likely because the same group of globalists that are behind both the rain technology are also behind the wildfire causing technology, if you know what I mean. The ones that come from the mountains in the dews. Anyway, they are pretty sick people. In South Carolina, a state of emergency declared after Table Rock State Park burned more than over 1,000 acres. While at the same time, in North Carolina, several fires in Polk County has burned more than 4,000 acres with the mandatory evacuations in place. While again, in our friends in New Jersey, started Saturday at the Wharton State Park fire that happened. And it's not even, again, hot out yet, friends. It's not even hot out yet. We only just stepped into spring. A sure sign that this coming summer is going to be hot, not just because of the heat of the sun, but because of the heat that's going to be put off by these wildfires that sweep across our planet. So again, always be prepared, friends. Never be scared. Arrests, protests, and civil unrest. You'll recall in my past predictions about seeing visions of arrests of leaders, politicians, and even celebrities. And we've seen a lot of that happen in Spirit. I keep saying it. There's more to come. No celebrities quite yet. Not recently, anyway. But over there in Istanbul, yeah, the mayor and the presidential candidate were both arrested on corruption charges, alleged corruption charges. While officials in Turkey had to arrest, they didn't have to, but they did arrest at least 1,300 protesters who were out there fighting for justice. This brings to light also my visions of thousands of people taken to the streets in protest. And in Istanbul, God, I can't talk today. They say it was actually millions of people that took to the streets. Millions of people that took to the streets in protest against these arrests of the mayor and the running candidate for president. Sounds kind of familiar, like one candidate trying to lock up the other candidate. Sounds very familiar. Well, if it does sound familiar, it's actually the same exact scenarios playing out in the Philippines. Same scenario. I mean, crazy, right? And we're going to see this continue to spread. Spread like a disease. Spread like poison ivy. Causing a big itch in power. And here in the United States, more and more protests are forming, including the United States postal workers taken to the streets in protests in fear that they're going to lose their jobs. The Postal Service has gone downhill big time over the past 10 years, 5 years, but definitely 10 years. Probably since Obama. You know, now I know up here where I am, they have contractors that bought up all the routes. They don't even have regular postmen that deliver. They actually have, contractors. And one contractor owns all the routes around here. Sometimes we don't even get mail. They don't drive up here because they don't feel like it on weekends because it's too busy. It's just unbelievable. At the same time, yesterday, there was a student walkout in Massachusetts. Remember, I said I had visions of walkouts and big walkouts and even a walkout of the Senate. We haven't seen that happen yet, but I guarantee you we're going to be seeing that real soon, where they get up and walk right out of the Senate. Same with the parliaments in different countries. You're going to see them get up and walk out, over arguing, disagreements, and it's just going to be interesting. Summer months are going to be even more interesting. July and August. The heat is on, for sure. So now also in other countries, there's many protests taking place, and protesters are continuing to gather outside of Tesla plants and Tesla dealerships. Again, not just in the United States, but all over Germany, over there in Europe, all throughout Europe. They're taken to the Tesla places. Taken to the test places. And, Tesla's stock continues to drop. It was at back in December, it was I think 440, 480 a share. 400, we'll say 450 a share. And last I looked, it was at 260 a share. That's a big drop, friends. Huge. It's going to drop more, says the Spirit's probably below $200. Might be time to consider maybe investing in that. I wouldn't invest in any stocks right now, actually. At all. And now people are stepping into their power is what we have happening, friends. They're demanding change and they're demanding justice. And soon, more folks are going to join with other protesters while other groups of protesters pop up across the globe. We see massive protests happening in Greece, Serbia, Hungary, and again here in the United States. And do not be at all surprised when governments begin to call in martial law. Remember, that's been in my predictions. There's even one of those illuminated cards that I showed you that says martial law for the United States, actually, is what that card shows. But I see martial law in other places. Oh, and what you see, there's chaos happening in South Korea. I mean, it's just like a meltdown of the world right now. A meltdown of governments is more likely the case. But again, don't be at all surprised, friends, when governments begin to suddenly start calling martial law. In order to, in cases where they want to get protesters off the streets, shut down any truths, shut down people from speaking the truth, stop people from stepping into their power. They don't want any of that exposed. And this is all going to backfire on them, according to the spirits. It's going to backfire on the evil leaders in due time. Patience. When people are locked down, like back in 2020, that's when they really begin to think more deeply. They look more closely at things and they really begin to awaken on new levels and step into new levels of power. So, call martial law. It will backfire on them, whoever them may be. I wouldn't even be surprised if there was martial law because of something in the United States, say in April. Wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me with the current administration. And those that want to stop the administration, both sides. Nothing surprises me with either side. Now, speaking of Tesla, how about these, in my opinion, very less than smart attacks by less than smart people on Tesla vehicles, lighting them on fire, damaging other people's private property? This to me is just simply ridiculous. And as much as I may not like Musk, and I've told you how much you asked my intuitive opinion, my intuitive feelings, not my opinion, my intuitive feelings, and I've said it all along. I've never changed my perspective on the fact the man is not good. But regardless, this is not really that they're trying to make it an attack on Musk or attack on Tesla. This is an attack on American car owners, friends, not anybody else. This doesn't affect Musk. If anything, it benefits them. They burn their car, they go get a new one. Insurance pays for it, hopefully. So you're not hurting anybody but your own fellow Americans. Shame on you for doing that. Shame on you. You need to be locked up. There's other ways of making points than damaging other people's private property. Like when people do go into these cities like we saw back in 2020 as well. You're hurting your own fellow Americans. Why would you do that? It makes no sense to me. You're not making a point. You're just damaging other people's private stuff that they worked really hard for. And that's what we have going on here. These people have nothing to do with the company. All they have is they purchased a vehicle that they happen to like. That's the American dream. If you like something and you can afford it, you go and you buy it. Nothing wrong with that. I don't care for Teslas myself, but it's no reason to damage one or anything. It's just horrible. And it is a crime. And I look forward to the multiple arrests because there will be, Spirit showed me, multiple arrests that will soon take place from reckless criminals attacking innocent Americans' property, private property. Just because you don't like a car that someone else drives. It's extremely less than smart of you to think that you should be able to go and damage it. These people need a really damn good therapist, friend. Damn good therapist. We're going to see a lot more unfortunate civil unrest, which is likely why I have these feelings of countries calling for martial law in the future due to civil unrest. And of course, that's what the globalists want. We can't let that happen. But at the same time, we do have to resist the legislation and laws that are going to go into place and that continuously get pushed into place that just limit us and limit our freedoms more and more each and every day. Just say no. Well, friends, the weather's certainly whipping up. Again, just as Spirit warned. Which I don't even feel like you need to be psychic anymore to figure that one out because the weather's just gone off its rocker if it was on a rocker. And as I stated, we have been continuously hit with one sun flare after another, just as Spirit stated that we would see just before the equinox. They did. They came in rolling in the day before the equinox, interesting enough. And I feel that much bigger blasts are about to hit us once again. Once folks, in turn, folks are going to witness the northern lights once again in places that aren't north or places where we don't see them. I remember seeing them here. Remember I showed you pictures here last year. In case you didn't know, for some reason you can see them better through a camera than you can with your naked eye. Next time we get them, I'm going to try my Ray-Ban glasses. Because I swear sometimes you can see things through them you cannot see with your naked eye. Especially if you take a picture through them. Try it sometime. Try it. Don't knock it till you try it. In turn, these big sun flares are about to hit even bigger than what we've already had. It's going to have a huge effect on the weather, and it's going to have a huge effect on earthquake activity. We just saw over the weekend, or yesterday or Sunday, I can't remember. We saw the biggest earthquake that we've seen in the past 30 days. It was only a 6.7, but that's still significant. And it's the biggest one we've seen in 30 days. And that hit our friends down there in New Zealand. Not Not a huge concern. I wouldn't be concerned about that. I don't feel huge concerns around it, but certainly there's a sign here that something bigger is brewing beneath the Earth's plates. Not just up there near New Zealand and Australia, but all around the Ring of Fire. And I expect huge earthquakes to start hitting in the coming weeks, maybe even in the coming days. Might even get one on the 29th during that big solar eclipse that's happening. And I'd like to warn our friends in Alaska in the coming weeks. I want to warn our friends around the Philippines and Indonesia. I feel like something big's happening there. Philippines, Indonesia. And along with our friends in the upper northern region of Japan. Now, California is going to be receiving several shakers in the coming weeks as well. It's been quiet along that coast of California for a while. Quiet before the storm. And California is going to receive again several shakers in the coming weeks. Beware to the north, says the spirits. Beware once again to the north. So it's something about the north. Shakers in the coming weeks. Beware the north. And also I see fires burning in Oklahoma. We see fires burning in Oklahoma, excuse me. We already see almost all of Oklahoma burning, as I showed you on the little map there earlier. But I continuously warned Oklahoma. You'll remember over and over I kept getting Oklahoma and something big in Oklahoma City that reminded me of the Oklahoma City boom boom, which basically, not that it's related. I also warned of potential massive earthquake outside the edge of Oklahoma City. Now we have all these wildfires happening in that state that I've continuously warned. So I would say that, Oklahoma is a potential place where we're going to see a massive earthquake in the very near future. And then Texas also comes to mind. Just areas of the globe. Now, I made a lot of predictions revolved around, and I did a weather video not that long ago. If you missed my weather video, it's pretty thorough, so check it out. I made predictions around severe sand and dust storms, which both occurred in Texas and Kansas. Texas and Kansas witnessed some of the worst high winds and dust storms in recent history, tipping over trucks, causing all kinds of disasters all over the roads with pile-ups and many folks being unalived by these severe storms. The fires in Oklahoma, again bringing thousands of acres and homes across the state, burning thousands, burning thousands. But it also seems as if they're not telling us much in the mass media, especially Oklahoma. I don't watch mass media, but it's not like they're really talking about it as much as they really should be talking about it. Oklahoma is yet another state, if you didn't know, where all of a sudden insurance providers decided that they started to refuse folks the renewal of their homeowners insurance. So if you're in one of them areas, they're doing that here, so that concerns me. They're doing that here. Even in this little neighborhood, several people got canceled. One person in the neighborhood had the same insurance for 40 years. Got canceled recently. Concerning. Very concerning. Got to watch. But again, I know I'm safe. Me personally. I don't know about the neighborhood, but I know I'm safe. And this property is pretty safe and protected. Things buried in all the corners and so forth. So now high winds and tornadoes swept across the Midwest with thriving communities being completely leveled, unfortunately. Looking as if they were hit by a large explosive. Hurricane, tornado, and fire season has not even started yet, friends. And we're seeing disaster after disaster already that we would normally see during the summer months, the mid to late summer months. So expect these fire-ridden areas, especially Oklahoma big time, is about to be hit soon with severe rains and severe flooding and rescues and evacuations and so forth. So warnings to those folks. We're going to see that, especially in Oklahoma. And I cannot help to find that I really feel that this is a part of a much bigger, much darker, sinister plan. Probably a globalist plan. And again, if you missed my weather and earth prediction video, be sure to check it out. Sometime in the near future, I'm going to do another weather-related video, but it's going to be specifically on the 2025 storm and hurricane names. as we go through the names, analyzing them and looking at them and the ones that have the potential to have the most damage. Also, be aware that I have felt and stated in the past that there would be some type of lockdowns in the future in relationship to weather or to the earth. Of course, they're going to call them climate lockdowns. And I feel that they are going to test out this climate lockdown in some area, probably small country, in the very near future. And if those folks where they do this little test don't resist, they're just going to spread their climate lockdowns to other areas. So let's hold in the light that doesn't end up being the case. Ancient discoveries is always one of my favorite topics. By now, you've already heard of the amazing new discovery coming out of Egypt and the ancient Egyptians, or was it the ancient Egyptians? I think it was someone else. The ancient Egyptians came much sooner. Those pyramids are way older. You may also recall my past predictions revolved around such discoveries. I stated that in my 2025 forecasts for the year, predictions for the year, that we would see major discoveries coming out of Egypt. And I stated long ago, probably over a decade ago at least, that there was a huge underground city beneath Egypt in the pyramids, in the Giza. And now, as we are discovering, there's definitely something beneath them. Something definitely lies beneath the Giza plateau. And many, of course, when I said this back in the day that there was underground cities there, they told me I was crazy. I've been told that a lot. Always ends up coming out to be true, though. So not so crazy after all. And I stated that we would eventually find out the truths buried in ancient Egypt, along with the truths of the actual pyramids, the ancient truths. That'll come to us eventually in time. So over the past week, I know, again, about the big discovery being made using some kind of special satellite technology. So imagine if they're using special satellite technology that they use to penetrate and see what's beneath those pyramids. That they're using that same technology for other things too, I'm sure. They're probably going right over our houses with that technology. So imagine what else they could be doing with it. And I find it interesting that throughout Egypt, you find hieroglyphics spread far and wide, right? All over the place. But when you enter the Great Pyramid, you find nothing. You find nothing of the sort. There's no burial tombs that they tell us it was their burial. Baloney. Phony baloney, friends. We know that's not true. Their claims are total false. Why do they do that? Because they don't want us to know what they were used for, because they don't want us to discover that and use that today, because they make too much money off it all, like electricity and power. All the tombs were discovered in the Valley of the Kings. Well, nothing was ever discovered in the pyramids. Not like that. Interesting enough. So did you see what that happened in the whole discovery beneath ancient Egypt? I'm not going to go deeply into it because it's all over the internet now. You could just go watch it for yourself. But it's really interesting how they found these big pillars that are all lined up beneath the Great Pyramid and beneath all three big pyramids in Giza. Have these big pillars with these. It almost looks like springs, right? Don't it look like they're on big springs, and it's just going to like bop up and down like a bobblehead? But they're not springs, they're tunnels that take you down into whatever's down there. There's something going on there. That's all about generating electricity, and it's doing something for the earth, too. I'd like to know what it's doing for the earth. I'll have to dig deeper into that in the near future. Do a little journey around that. Maybe do a little remote view around that. But I'm sure they have their own remote viewers protecting that area because they do that. They know the technology. They know about remote viewing. And if they don't want you to see something, they have technology to stop you from seeing it. Remember when I tried to see the ice wall in Antarctica and I had to get out of there quick as possible? I did a video on that. So I told you, those pyramids are way older than they tell us they are. We already know the Sphinx is way older. So are the pyramids. Now, the rest of ancient Egypt, yeah, that might be 3,000 or 4,000 years old. But those pyramids are way older. Those ancient Egyptians came along later, much later. And even the Sphinx, we already know that it wasn't a lion's head. Some people say it was the god Anubis, his head. Maybe other heads, but we can tell it doesn't match. And what about Edgar Cayce and his prophecy that there would be wisdom and knowledge found beneath the right paw of the Sphinx? And then they found that little passageway between the paws of the Sphinx, and then they blocked it off and won't let nobody go down it. Right? The Egyptian government's just as guilty as the rest of them. They're holding that ancient knowledge and not letting anybody have it. That's going to change. And all this information coming out about these underground, what they discovered under these pyramids, they've known about this for at least a decade, according to spirits. So why are they just now telling us now? Is this just a little leak here, a little leak there to bring us up to par with the wisdom? I doubt they want us to have that wisdom. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want to know more about that discovery, just go on YouTube. There's videos all over about it. Now, we have the conflict in Yemen that's happening that I already talked about. I think I already talked about it. But I told you that the United States was going to go in there and level it. I told you that was going to happen. And now that's going to bring in Iran. You watch. And before you know it, pretty soon, the United States is going to come up with an excuse, along with Israel at its side, to go in and start bombing Iran. When that happens, maybe that's what Baba Vanga was talking with what's going to happen. Let's hope not. Let's hold the whole planet in light for peace, not conflict. Did you see that 23andMe is claiming bankruptcy? There's one of those illuminated cards for that, too. Those cards I showed you that pretty much show us the future, which we can know 100% do and have. Yeah, there's a 23andMe card for that. Using our DNA against us. What if a weapons company gets a hold of that? What if they wanted to wipe out, we know they're searching for the Jesus bloodline. We know they've been doing that for quite some time. Because, we're not even going to go into the whole Jesus surviving and the resurrection was him coming back to life. Having kids and his bloodline is the Holy Grail. They could use that against us. Our DNA. People are catching on to that. People aren't doing that 23andMe. And if you did it, you better go in and demand that they delete your files and hand them over to you. Don't do that. I've told you a long time, do not give anybody your DNA. Nobody, ever. Speaking of other things in DNA, not that this has to do with DNA, but some of you probably watch, I don't, but the show Ghost Adventures, I've never watched it, so I know nothing about it. Apparently it's popular, and I'm sure many people that watch this probably watch Ghost Adventures. Did you see that the host of Ghost Adventures spoke out after his wife hired a hitman? And luckily for him, she was arrested before the hitman came knocking on the door. Thankfully for that. But there we go with, again, arrests. I guess they could be considered, I don't know how popular they are, but could that be amongst the celebrity arrests? That's just crazy. People are just crazy, man, crazy. Other than that, friends, I tell you, there is a big event on the horizon. Perhaps likely multiple events that are on a horizon. I felt it strongly for years, but those feelings have intensified since we stepped into 2025. The strong feelings that many are going to depart in large numbers in 2025. The strong feelings that I had of massive earthquakes and tsunami hitting several areas. And even my strong feelings of some type of fear attack taking place, multiple. And I feel like the list goes on and on. I feel like we've been lucking out so far in 2025 as to what really is going to be lying ahead. And there's absolutely no coincidence that the drones are still swarming the air over there in the East Coast. One of my buddies sent me video and pictures of them last night. But no one seems to be paying any mind to it anymore. Was it just a diversion? But why are they still there, and why is nobody talking about it anymore? There is no coincidence, friends, that the United States leaks out all of a sudden these war plans to the press for Yemen. And no coincidence that people are getting pretty fed up with governments. You know about the whole war plan leak. They did that on purpose. Who do they think they're kidding? Probably, who even knows? I don't even want to go into their heads and try to figure it out. But I do feel, again, that I feel something really big is on our doorsteps. A combination of earth disasters in conflict that's going to bring about a certain level of even climate lockdowns in some areas, martial law in other countries. And I see some countries calling, again, martial law, especially when the streets of one city become so overwhelmed with angry citizens demanding their power back. Globalists ain't going to like that. They're going to demand that they send in the military. I don't know where this is, but I mean, it's happening in Istanbul, but I think this might be Europe, maybe even United States. A couple other things for you. I see major issues coming for the Pentagon. I said this in the past, but it came to me again this morning. I see a vision of Pentagon officials in my vision meeting literally. They were at a meeting table, and they were literally screaming at one another in my vision. And then I saw several of them get up and walk out angry, not just out of the meeting, but I saw them walk out of the building completely and felt that they were never returning again. Once they walked out, they're done. Likely many are going to be fired. And did you know that over $1 trillion has already gone missing in all the audits that they keep doing on the Pentagon? Many scandals, many truths are soon going to be revealed from within the Pentagon. It's going to be interesting, including their affiliations with companies, weapons manufacturers, and Raytheon and all those other sinister companies. I also feel that there's going to be 2 huge whistleblowers that are going to blow the lids off the truth trash cans at the Pentagon. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. And I have to end today's segment with a little bit of mail because you've got mail. And I got a few pieces of mail here today. First, from beautiful Nesha out there in Woodside, New York. I love my Nesha student. She sent me this card, The Magician. A take from the Magi, success in your current endeavors. I want to share also, I got a message to eventually go to Sedona and find a colony. Well, good luck. We don't have any here yet, but there will be in the future. Colony as the original 13 of us was quite a surprise. This is very long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll read it to myself, but not to everybody else. But thank you, Nesha, for your card, and I will read this as soon as I am through here fully. And then I have another one that comes from Bill W. in San Francisco, California. And Bill sent me a check. Thank you. I enjoyed your YouTube videos. They are very helpful. Very sorry I don't have a PayPal. Don't be sorry. Never be sorry. Encloses a humble check. Thank you to help your work. Thank you for the March 2025 Powerful Healing Numerology and Astrology, to which I got in my email. Sincerely, Bill W. Thanks, Bill. Thanks. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Nesha. I got something really cool here. Really cool. I already looked at it. But let me look at the card first, because this comes from Clara M. Where are you at, Clara? You are in West Virginia, right? Hey, JT, this is a small token of my appreciation for the reading you gave me back in September. You said I would be selling a craft as a sidekick. My thought was, I don't do crafts. Well, here is a spider I made for you. Ha ha ha. My new sidekick. Maybe he would like to live in your garden. Thanks again, Claire, the WV Spider Lady. This is really cool, actually. You guys see this. I love spiders. I know people are creeped out by spiders, but I love spiders. This is freaking cool. Wait, we can hang it up? Oh, cool. Wait, hold on, let me show it to you. I have a spider living in my living room on top of my corn plant. Look, isn't that cool? Close up. Close up over here. Close up. He's cool. He's very, very cool, Claire. That's neat. How did you do that? That's really cool. Very creative. See, the spirits did say it. That wasn't me that said it. If you had a reading with me, that's the spirits. They gave you this nice creative thing. The spider's cool. I don't know where I'll put him. In my garden outside, he might get ruined. But I'll put him in a plant somewhere. Thank you, Claire. And thank all of you for your love and support and for making this free content possible for everybody else. I'll be back again within the next week by Monday at the latest, but hopefully by Thursday night, actually. with my April forecast and predictions. And if you missed my full prediction video that I put out, hour packed of predictions last week, be sure to check that out. I'll leave a link up above and down below in the description. Until the next time, friends, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. Much love, friends. Much love.